The origins of misunderstandings in historical context. The life of Prophet Muhammad has often been shrouded in misconceptions stemming from a lack of understanding, deliberate misrepresentation, and cultural biases. One significant source of misunderstanding arose during the Crusades when European powers vilified Islam and its prophet to justify military campaigns against Muslim territories. Medieval depictions of Muhammad as a false prophet, a sorcerer, or a warmonger were not based on objective study but on polemics meant to demonize the other. This narrative persisted for centuries, shaping Western perceptions and fueling ongoing controversies. Critics failed to consider the socio-political environment of 7th century Arabia, where tribal warfare, social injustices, and idol worship dominated society. Muhammad's mission challenged these norms, promoting monotheism, social equity, and justice. However, his revolutionary approach was often misinterpreted as authoritarianism by his adversaries, a misunderstanding that endures in certain circles even today. Marriage to Aisha, cultural context or controversy. One of the most debated aspects of Muhammad's life is his marriage to Aisha, who, according to many Islamic sources, was young at the time of their union. Critics often use this to allege impropriety, ignoring the historical and cultural context. In 7th century Arabia, early marriages were customary for ensuring alliances and survival in tribal societies. While Aisha's marriage may seem controversial by modern standards, it reflected the norms of her time. Furthermore, Aisha grew to become one of the most prominent scholars of Islam, narrating numerous hadiths and serving as a political leader. Her relationship with Muhammad was marked by mutual respect and affection, challenging the narrative that reduces her role to that of a victim. The controversy over this issue highlights the dangers of applying contemporary moral frameworks to historical figures without understanding their contexts. Jihad, holy struggle or call to violence. The concept of jihad has become one of the most misunderstood aspects of Muhammad's teachings, often mischaracterized as a license for perpetual violence. In reality, jihad encompasses a broad spectrum of meanings, including the spiritual struggle for self-improvement. During Muhammad's time, armed conflict was permitted under strict ethical guidelines, primarily for self-defense or to secure religious freedom for his followers, who faced severe persecution in Mecca. However, critics and extremists alike have distorted this concept. Extremist groups invoke Muhammad's name to justify their actions, while critics use the same distortions to label Islam as inherently violent. This dual misrepresentation fuels controversy, ignoring Muhammad's repeated emphasis on mercy, restraint, and the sanctity of life. His clemency during the conquest of Mecca, where he forgave his adversaries, stands as a testament to his commitment to peace. Polygamy, practical solutions or patriarchal legacy. Another point of contention is Muhammad's practice of polygamy, which critics frame as a symbol of patriarchal dominance. However, his multiple marriages were not driven by personal desire but by social, political, and humanitarian considerations. After the death of his first wife, Khadija, with whom he shared a monogamous marriage for 25 years, Muhammad married widows and women from vulnerable circumstances to provide them with protection and to strengthen alliances among tribes. His actions reflected the socio-political realities of his time, where widows and orphans faced extreme hardships. While polygamy is controversial today, it was a pragmatic solution in 7th century Arabia. Ignoring the context behind Muhammad's marriages risks perpetuating stereotypes that overlook his broader contributions to the empowerment of women, such as advocating for their rights to inheritance, education, and protection from abuse. The Satanic Verses, Truth or Fabrication. The incident of the Satanic Verses, popularized in modern times by Salman Rushdie's controversial novel, is another source of contention. According to certain historical accounts, Muhammad initially recited verses praising pagan Meccan deities, only to later retract them, stating that Satan had influenced him. This story has been widely debated among scholars, with many questioning its authenticity and reliability. Critics use this narrative to question Muhammad's integrity as a prophet, while some Muslims view it as a test of his prophetic mission. Regardless of its veracity, the controversy underscores the challenges Muhammad faced in conveying a monotheistic message in a deeply polytheistic society. The story also raises broader questions about the complexities of divine revelation and the human experience, which remain subjects of theological debate and misunderstanding. Muhammad's treatment of non-Muslims, tolerance or supremacy. Critics often highlight Muhammad's interactions with non-Muslim communities, particularly the Jewish tribes of Medina, to argue that his teachings promoted intolerance. However, historical records paint a more nuanced picture. The Constitution of Medina, a pioneering document established by Muhammad, guaranteed religious freedom and mutual protection for all inhabitants, regardless of faith. While conflicts did arise with certain Jewish tribes, these were rooted in breaches of treaties rather than religious animosity. Despite these conflicts, Muhammad maintained alliances with other non-Muslim groups and emphasized respect for people of the book, Jews and Christians. The selective focus on conflicts, without considering the broader context of cooperation and coexistence, perpetuates the misconception that Muhammad's teachings were inherently intolerant. This misunderstanding feeds into modern narratives that seek to portray Islam as a religion of exclusivity rather than inclusivity. Prophet Muhammad in modern media, freedom of expression or Islamophobia. In contemporary times, Prophet Muhammad has become a lightning rod for debates about freedom of expression and Islamophobia. Incidents such as the publication of caricatures in Western media and their violent aftermath have polarized global opinion. Supporters of these publications argue for the right to critique religious figures, while many Muslims see such depictions as deliberate provocations and acts of disrespect. The controversy raises deeper questions about the limits of free speech and the responsibility of media in fostering mutual respect. Muhammad's teachings on responding to insults with patience and forgiveness are often overshadowed by the actions of extremists who resort to violence. This disconnect reflects a broader failure to engage with Muhammad's legacy holistically, fueling a cycle of misunderstanding and hostility that continues to divide communities. The life and legacy of Prophet Muhammad remain deeply significant yet widely misunderstood, shaped by historical misrepresentations, cultural biases, and selective interpretations that persist into modern times. While his actions, such as his marriages, military leadership, and interactions with non-Muslims, were deeply rooted in the socio-political realities of 7th century Arabia, critics often isolate these events from their context, distorting their meaning. Misunderstandings about concepts like jihad and his treatment of women reveal how ignorance or intentional misrepresentation can weaponize religion for ideological battles. Similarly, contemporary controversies, such as the depiction of Muhammad in modern media, highlight the tension between freedom of expression and respect for religious sensitivities, underscoring a persistent gap in mutual understanding. These debates often overlook the Prophet's emphasis on compassion, justice, and coexistence, values that were revolutionary in his time and remain deeply relevant today. Bridging the divide requires moving beyond polarized narratives, fostering nuanced discussions that honor historical accuracy, and embracing the timeless humanism embedded in his teachings.